Hey everyone, I'm going to do this as quickly as I can, but I wanted to give my thoughts on the 2018 confirmed year, but no date yet, but year confirmation for the Sonic the Hedgehog live action CGI movie. Now, apparently, it's still targeted for a PG-13 rating, which is kind of weird, seeing as though it's a Sonic movie. But I can understand they want to do PG-13 since it's live action and CGI. And it is by, from what we last heard, one of the people that helped out with the Fast and Furious franchise. And I could see this as a PG-13 movie, but to me, it's, I'll say this, it's going to take a lot of work, in my opinion, to kind of make it PG-13 because you're really going to have to, I don't know how to put this. If you're going to put a comedic flavor in it, that's fine. But I can definitely see that Sony and Sega are going to have to really make it a little bit more darker in some areas. And I think maybe that's what they're aiming for. Now, what's interesting about this is Sammy, which is part of Sega, is mostly involved with this. But what's more interesting about this 2018 release is it's the 25th anniversary of that show. So I don't know if that means anything, but having it get released 25 years after Sat AM debuted, in 25 years essentially after the comic debuted, the Archie comic that is, that that might be something there. I'm not saying entirely that that's the case because they easily could have worked it to where it could have been released this year, but they didn't do that. So instead, we're getting a release in 2018, which again to me is almost confirmation that there might be some kind of relation to the Archie comics and the Sat AM portion of the franchise. Not saying that there is. But again, the question is how do you make a Sonic movie into a PG-13 movie? Now, you could do an origin story, you can make it dark and everything, but how dark can you make an origin story of Sonic and Sonic fighting Eggman for a movie based, in a movie that's based off maybe the first game? You don't. It's not that easy. That's why this is my opinion. My opinion on this is there's a reason for the 2018 release. That reasoning being is maybe they want to do something, maybe they want to add elements, maybe they want to add characters from the Archie comics and Sat AM franchise. Maybe they want to have time to work that out. Maybe they want to talk with the people over at Sega's Sammy division and maybe try to get something going. Maybe they want to try to get characters like Sally, Rotor, Bunny, Antoine. Maybe they want to get them in this movie because there's got to be more to this Sonic movie to give it a PG-13 rating, to warrant it a PG-13 rating. And if you could take the dark elements that we saw in the Sat AM series, and maybe even take some influence from the Sonic fan film that Blue Core Studios did, take those kind of influence, those dark tones like the roboticization, maybe even some characters dying and stuff like that. That to me could emphasize, mostly the roboticization, could really emphasize, and if not warrant, a PG-13 rating. I could see that. When Paramount and Nickelodeon brought out the Ninja Turtles a few years ago, or brought out the Ninja Turtle movie a few years ago, uh, I think a lot of people were surprised it got a PG-13 rating. I mean, it was dark in some areas, and you had Megan Fox, that could be another reason, but still, people were surprised it got a PG-13 rating. Even though if you were to watch it, and I haven't watched all of it yet, but even if you were to watch it, you'd almost say, does it really warrant a PG-13 rating? Because the original Turtles movie in 1990 was dark and gritty, and it had a PG rating. So I don't know. Maybe like I say, they're going to have to find, in my opinion, they're going to have to really do something to warrant this movie a PG-13 rating. Because the way I see it, the only way you're going to do that is to tie in to the 25th anniversary of that show, of the comic as well, and maybe emphasize on the dark, and maybe focus on what made the series at times dark in some areas. Like perhaps, perhaps, like I say, emphasize on how deadly, or how do I put, how much of an effect robotization can have. I mean, to me, you could do a lot more. You could do a lot with this. You could do a lot. There's so much potential that in the next few years that can be done, that it's going to take a good story, it's going to take good character development, and it's going to take a real reasoning behind that story to warrant a PG-13 rating. But the question is, will it get a PG-13 rating? You see, that's the question I wonder. Because like I said, you could try your best to just have Sonic, Knuckles, and Amy and Tails in there as some of the main characters out of the Sonic gameverse, but it's going to take more than just the four of them to warrant this movie a PG-13 rating. Unless you have Knuckles swearing like an MFer, if you will, and then an occasional damn or shit word, excuse my language, Lord, but an occasional damn or shit word or ass word or whatever, excuse my language, God. I don't see it happening. I don't see a PG-13 rating being warranted unless things like that could occur. Unless you make it dark enough, unless you put a little bit of grittiness in it. You can make it part live action all you want. It doesn't mean it's going to warrant itself a PG-13 rating. You got to have a reason for it. I mean, you take a look at Star Wars: The Phantom Menace. Take a look at Star Wars: The Force Awakens. Some might say Force Awakens should have had PG, be it traditional, but it had enough dark moments in it to where it was warranted enough to have a PG-13 rating. When the Harry Potter movies later on in the franchise got more darker and stuff, one, if not two of them, also warranted themselves a PG-13 rating. So it's not uncommon. I mean, when Revenge of the Sith, Star Wars Episode 3 came out, it was warranted a PG-13 rating because it was the darker of the three. And it had a reasoning because it had more dark elements. True, the first two that were under PG ratings had dark elements too, but this one was more darker than any of them. So the question still gets raised: how is the Sonic movie going to warrant itself a PG-13 rating? What is it going to do? What is it going to throw at us? In my opinion, it's like I said, it's ironic that it's coming out 25 years after the Saturday AM cartoon series and the Archie comic book series was released. So my opinion is, I think there's a possibility, not saying it's a fact, not saying it will happen, but there's a possibility, in my opinion, that they might draw elements from the Saturday morning cartoon series and the Archie comic book series, might even, mind you, bring in some of those characters so that you could get a good story out of it. So, but that's just my opinion, that's just my opinion and my thoughts on how they're going to try to warrant themselves a PG-13 rating. Because like I said, the only way it's going to happen is you put emphasis on robotization and how dark and vicious and how life-changing it could be. So that would be the only way. I mean, if anything, I could see a PG-13 rating warranted for a Sonic live-action CGI film if it's based around or loosely adapted off that and the Archie comics. I could see that. But we'll have to wait and see. I mean, I could see the possibility, maybe, not saying it will happen, of them thinking, hey, thinking along the same lines as those at Dig Entertainment when they did the Saturday AM series. Like, hey, there's got to be more to this than just what the game is. So hopefully the person that's working on it from the Fast and the Furious and other people that will come on board will hopefully realize that same thing. Because I could see elements from the cartoon series, I could see elements from the comic book, especially the dark elements, being loosely adapted, not fully adapted, into a into this movie to get it at least dark enough that it will warrant itself a PG-13 rating. So that's just all I have to say on it. But that's my thoughts on the 2018 release of the Sonic movie coming in 2018, and basically my opinions on how I feel it's going to get my opinions on how I feel it can and should be able to get, or could, can, and should be able to get a PG-13 rating. Let me know what you guys think. Do you agree with what I said here? And let me know what you guys think could be a reasoning of how they can get a PG-13 rating. Let me know down below. I'll talk to y'all later.